She needs love, some girls need love. Girls can't never say they want it. Girls can't never say how. Girls can't never say they need it. Girls can't never say nah. Girls can't never say they want it. Girls can't never say how. Girls can't never say they need it. Girls can't never say nah. Oh nah. Give it to me like you need it, baby. Want you to hear me screaming, have it breathing. I don't need a reason, baby. I want it till you can't buy. I can get it till you right, baby. I wanna be healing. I can be real good. We don't get these feelings. Hey, I need some love.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing? We are here. We're going to be covering this Diddy case, and we are going to be giving you the live update on what's going on in the courtroom. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and get into it. And I'm going to say, we'll. Okay, so that's the question that I'm going to pose right there. And that is on YouTube. So if you guys are following me on YouTube, let me go ahead and refresh this right quick and see if there are any new details in this court proceedings. All right, so let's get into it. Let's see. Actually, let me add myself to the screen. Hopefully you all can see it. Okay. Actually, I want to do it this way. Okay, let's just do it this way. All right, so here's the update. So this was 5 minutes ago. Oh, so the judge says, oh, no. AUSA. I don't know who AUSA is. Oh, is that the attorney or is that prosecution? Okay, they're saying, what did you do after arrest? Brendan Paul says a diversion program, drug treatment. The prosecution says no further questions. The judge says cross. Combs, attorney Steele says you walked up to play basketball at Syracuse for an iconic coach. Paul says yes. Steele, you played UNC, but COVID ended. Yes. So Combs' attorney says you weren't just a drug mule, were you? The prosecution says objection. Judge says overruled. Brendan Paul says I was not just that. Attorney Steele says it was a minor part of what you did. Paul says absolutely. Steele says personal use. Judge says rephrase that. All right, y'all, listen here. So while we wait, I'm going to go down and then I'll refresh it so we can get some more tea. The prosecution says, what did Mr. Combs' butler do? Brendan Paul says, stand next to Puff, give him water, chapstick, whatever he needed. The prosecution says, did you have group chats with KK? Brendan Paul says, yes. The prosecution says, turn to the binder and flip through it. So now the prosecution's saying, who is this? Brendan Paul says, Fahim. We called him Fa, F-A-H. The prosecution says, what was your salary? Paul started at $75,000 a year, then $100,000. I got paid bi-weekly by Combs Enterprise. The prosecution says, where did you live? Paul said in an Airbnb in LA and Miami. So this is saying, okay, so he had the, okay, y'all, let's
New York courthouse today.
right, y'all, let's get into this clip right quick and then I'll refresh and then we'll see what the people are saying. All right, let's go.
Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Today, Friday, June 20th. I'm going to call it day 27 of the U.S. versus Sean Combs trial, because day 26, although a juror had vertigo, there were some arguments, and so it is a day in the court, in the trial. Now, today, at long last, there should be the basketball playing drug mule of Diddy, known as Brendan Paul. We've been promising him all week, but it just kept getting pushed back by the special agents, the cross-examination, the vertigo. But today it should happen. Then there's another summary witness that should, I guess, will go into Monday, and then the government will rest. Then the defense case, however long it is. Now, yesterday, Juneteenth, when the trial didn't meet, and I'll get to that in a moment, what Inner City Press celebrated Juneteenth as, but there was a filing, which we covered, by the prosecutors. It has to do with the jury instructions. They're opposing some proposals made by the defense about voluntary intoxication being a defense in some way. You can find it all on Inner City Press's Patreon. It's up. So today should be good, and the week 6 book is already well along. In fact, it's just waiting to have a couple more pieces put in it, and it will be put out. Now, there's other things that are going on. There was a, last week, I think it was on Wednesday or Tuesday, Tuesday it was, we live tweeted the Ninth Circuit argument about the legality of the deployment or the federalization of the National Guard in Los Angeles. And many people said from the tenor of the questions, in fact, it seemed from the tenor of questions we said, but you can never tell, that the 3-judge panel was going to side with the administration. Well, they have. In a decision issued on Juneteenth itself, it was found to be legal. Will we see more of these deployments? It's a long, hot summer. Speaking of which, it's hot. That's why I have now a haircut. So it seems about right. It's going to get up to 102 next.
All right, you all. So let's go ahead and click up out of that. Let's go ahead and see if we have an update from court. All right. We are going to refresh it. Oh, okay. Let's get into it. So the Brian Steele is now, questioning Brendan Paul why he's on the stand. So it says, Steele says to Brendan Paul, the hotel nights were personal? Question. The prosecution says objection. Judge says rephrase. Steele said it was Mr. Combs and Jane relaxation personal, right? From your observation? Brendan Paul says yes. Steele, did you see Jane as hesitant? Paul says, I did not. Combs, Mr. Steele says, if you saw non-consensual activity, you would not have worked there, right? Prosecution says objection. Judge says sustain. Steele says, you would not work for a criminal, would you? Brendan Paul says no. Steele says, you care about your reputation? Paul says yes. Okay, so the prosecution says, what did you... Okay, so we read that part already. What did he do after his arrest? Actually, I think I'm following him. Let's see. Okay, we just watched that. Okay. So yeah, there's really no updates, but here we're gonna go ahead and refresh it. And we're gonna see what they have to say. All right, let's get into it. All right. So, Combs attorney Brian Steele says, you were arrested for 27 grams, barely personal use, it was a mistake, right? Brendan Paul says yes. Still in the case, still says, and the case was dismissed? Question. Paul says yes. The attorney still says, did drugs make Sean more focused? Paul said he got extremely creative. Okay, so it says now mid-morning, June 20th, the government should provide copies of all exhibits by Monday, June 23rd, 2025, signed by Judge Aaron Samarian on 6/19, 2025. So we'll tweet out photos June 23rd, midnight, if that's when they provide. Okay. So the government should provide copies of all exhibits by Monday. All right. So you just tweeted that. And so we're still waiting for another tweet, but you all please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We're going to keep refreshing to see what else is coming out. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to scroll down. Okay, so we're still waiting for an updated tweet. Mm-hmm. So pretty much what I'm gathering is, Brendan, this was your personal use, and this was something that y'all did, and this was a recreation. But then it goes back to when he says, well, about your reputation, do you care about your reputation? He says, yeah. But now the question is, are they going to question him on anything? You know what I'm saying? Like, who do you get it from? Where you who's your dealer? Because 9 times out of 10 they want to get, okay, so Combs attorney still says, as you sit here today, are you indebted to Sean Combs? Brendan Paul says, good experience for the most part. Still says no further questions. The prosecution says sidebar before redirect. Judge says yes. The sidebar okay, let's see. Oh, okay. So he's just promoting something right there. So let's go ahead and refresh. So pretty much they're establishing, there was Diddy was no threat to him. And they're pretty much saying, he had his own stash, he did his thing. And they're also establishing, okay, he's taking these classes as well to get sober. So not only are they saying, okay, he did what he did, but he's taking initiatives to get the help. And also Diddy, he was doing what he was doing. And Jane Doe, see, now Brendan Paul is given his testimony because what the defense is doing is trying to unravel everything negative about the rugs, right? They're trying to unravel anything that anybody said negative about those rugs. We have the man right here that had the rugs. Did anybody look uncomfortable? Did they look like they didn't want to, partake in the party favors? No, is what he said. All right, y'all, let's refresh. Okay, so if you're just now joining, we're covering the Diddy trial, and the alleged mule is on the stand. Mm-hmm. Oh, he didn't got gray. Yeah, I'm keep refreshing. Now, whoever prepped him like really good. Let's get into some of these comments. Can we read the comments? Or do we have to type? See, I don't want to type. Let me see if we can read the comments. Okay. I want to read the comments. Okay, somebody says, oh, okay, Paul testifies. Okay, Paul testifies he didn't tell law enforcement O'Kane wasn't his because of loyalty to Combs. The jury saw a selfie of Diddy Combs, his former chief of staff, Christina Coram, and his former assistant, Brendan Paul, on a private jet taken on March 25th of 2024. Before Paul was arrested for cocaine possession at the Miami Opaloka Executive Airport, they were about to take off on a flight to the Bahamas for a vacation with Combs' families, Paul said. Paul testified he hasn't seen or spoken to Combs basically since that photo was taken. Paul didn't tell law enforcement that the cocaine wasn't his that day. When asked why, Paul said loyalty. Paul testified that the charges against him related to the incident were dropped because I have a really good lawyer. He's completed over 20 drug classes and submitted random drug tests, Paul said. Defense attorney Brian Steele is now cross-examining Paul. So that's an update. Okay, get into it. Now, who is this? Is she at the thing? Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go over here and see what she's talking about. Okay, so here's some more tea. Here's some more tea. Let's see if there's any more. Oh, you just moved into your new permanent. Oh, you know what? Okay, so let's get into this tea right quick. Okay, so right here it says, oh, PDD trial updates. Okay, it says 12. Paul, I handed my ID to security and signed a non-disclosure agreement before going inside. Prosecution, who did you meet with? Paul, Christina Coram, his former chief of staff, and Frankie Santella, a music manager. We spoke for about 20 minutes. Prosecution, and when did you start? Let me go to this one. Okay, we need this. Sorry, y'all, we going on a roll. We driving around. We got to get the tea. Oh, okay. Now this is the hot tea right here. Oh, okay. All right, this is where it is. Okay. So 29, Paul, she asked if the rugs were for me or for Puff. I told her they were for Puff, but to tell anyone else they were for me. Prosecution says, "When? Why did you say that?" Paul says, "Puff was high profile. We always use aliases to protect his identity." Prosecution, did Mr. Combs use Cialis? So I'm going to be going backwards. Oh, damn. 29, 28. Paul, he did. He asked if it was good because he was checking his Tusi. I said yes, and then I just kept working. Prosecution, is this your conversation with baby girl? What's happening in this chat? This Jonathan Perez introducing me to baby girl. Okay, so, oh my goodness, these are a lot. Okay, let's get back to let's get back to this one and let's refresh. Let's refresh it. Now, this court is going to only be from 9 to 1 today. So from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Then they're going to meet back on Monday. So they'll meet back on Monday. There's going to be like some photos that comes out over the weekend. I mean, on Monday. So on the 23rd, they're planning to release some more information. All right, let me see. I know we have like the bloggers out there in New York. I'm so excited. They're out there really doing their thing. I'm really curious to see what type of commentary is going to be coming out about Brendan Paul being on the witness stand. You know, this is a really big case. It's a high profile, and also I did for the royal members, check the community wall. I put up a message for you all. Please utilize that service. Send. And yeah, so like I said, it's gonna be 10:42, almost 11. I wonder if they're going to take a lunch, and how long will that lunch break be if they do decide to take one? I'm a little curious on it. All right, let's go ahead and refresh and see if we got anything new, you all. Is there anything new? Okay, let's see. No, so they're still in there. I'm assuming that prosecution is still doing their questioning with Brendan. But you know what? Even like with this situation, this is a big situation because I feel like with the prosecution, prosecution, they brought Brendan Paul in at the end as the icing on the cake. Now, is somebody else going to testify? I wouldn't be surprised if somebody else testified as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they had come in with another surprise person in KK. When is KK going to be put up on a stand? Because her name has been mentioned. Her name has been mentioned a few times. Let's be clear about that. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's refresh and see if anything is going on. And you all, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. All right. It seems like they're taking a break for right now. And so we are going to do so as well. But I want to thank you all so much for coming by. If there's any other updates, I'll make sure I come by and let you all know. I appreciate you. Have a great day on purpose. And we'll meet again. Same place, different time.